Valley Talk on News Talk 1580 KGAL.
Welcome to the Valley Talk Studios. I'm Dave Adams. Beautiful day out here as summer in the city is happening, and glad to have you with us today. It's 11:06. Have a very interesting show for you today. We're going to take a look at the Reagan administration. And we have a gentleman here, John R. Gabrielson, who has a very interesting career. We're going to be talking about that on the show today. He's a retired, do they call them troopers?
Yeah,
California Highway Patrol trooper, retired there. Also served when Ronald Reagan was governor of the state of Oregon, and has had a very, very interesting...
It wasn't state of California.
State of California? What did I say?
You said Oregon.
Oh, sorry. Well... California doesn't count, right? Strike that last mark from the record.
Not to me, anyway.
Anyway, when he was governor of California, so don't you just love live radio? Yes. The Fupars go out there and everything. So we're going to have a very interesting show today. And John, welcome to Valley Talk. And of course, we have our average investment guy, John Gibson. So we have a couple Johns. We have John here on the show today. Now, John Gabrielson is the guest of John Gibson. Right. And John Gibson's idea was to bring John Gabrielson on and talk about his very, very interesting career. So we're going to talk about that in just a minute. As always, we are giving away a $10 gift certificate for Quiznos. Taste on Us. You can send me an email, dave@kgal.com, or you can call the station at 451-KGAL or 926-KGAL at the end of the show here in about 52 minutes. We're going to be giving away a $10 gift certificate from Quiznos in Albany, located across the parking lot from the former G.I. Joe Sporting Goods location and from the current Novak's restaurant. And somebody is going to walk away with a $10 gift certificate from Quiznos. So get your card letters in, and we'll hopefully give you the prize. Honor Flight, One Last Mission. We're still selling tickets for that. Bertram's Medals in Albany, the Pix Theater in Albany, and Lebanon Area Chamber of Commerce in Lebanon. There's going to be 2 showings of Honor Flight, One Last Mission. This is a documentary about, I believe, 4 World War II veterans who were taken by Honor Flight back to Washington, D.C. so they could see the National World War II Memorial. There's a big push on. Honor Flight, by the way, is a 501c3 organization and operation. A bunch of advocates and volunteers get together to take World War II veterans who cannot afford it back to D.C. to see the honor that the nation has paid to them. World War II veterans are called the world's greatest generation because it was the largest armed conflict on the planet. They stopped tyranny and oppression from taking over the globe. And that's why they're called the world's greatest generation. A lot of these World War II veterans are getting old, mid-80s, mid-90s. We're losing more than 1,000 every day. So Honor Flight exists to make sure to give them some closure before they pass on to go back to D.C. to see the memorial. So there was a documentary that was filmed about 4 veterans and what this trip meant to them. We're going to be showing that documentary at the Pix Theater in Albany, May 18th. That's this Saturday at 1 p.m. and next Saturday, the 25th of May at 1 p.m. at the River Center in Lebanon. Tickets are $10 each. Every dime of the ticket sales goes to benefit the Honor Flight program. In that, it will help pay for Willamette Valley World War II veterans to go on an Honor Flight back to D.C. There is an Honor Flight hub in Eugene. A hub is basically the coordination center for for a region, and our region is controlled out of Eugene by a fine gentleman. Mike Pungercar is the head of the hub in Eugene, and so we thank Mike for all the work he's done. Thanks to Jay Bertram of Bertram's Medals for underwriting all of the cost of showing the movie here locally in Albany and Lebanon. And again, remember, when you buy a ticket to see this video, see this movie, all of your money goes towards Honor Flight and sending World War II veterans back. By the way, if you go and you watch the movie, you buy a ticket, admitted, they're also going to be selling DVDs of this documentary at the movie. So if you see it, like it, want to take it home and share it with your family and young people, you can buy the DVD for $20. $10 of that goes to Honor Flight, $10 to the Eugene hub of Honor Flight. There's a big push to show this to young people so that they can see the courage, they can see the sacrifice, and they can see what World War II veterans went through. Honor Flight One Last Mission. You can check it out online. Just do a Google for Honor Flight One Last Mission. Watch the video trailer of the movie, and then we would love to see you this Saturday afternoon at 1 at the Pix in Albany. I'll be there. Hope to see you there as well as we pay tribute to our military veterans. Speaking of military veterans, we have one here in the studio today. John Gabrielson, retired from the California Highway Patrol. And John, you also served in Korea, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Hey, before we get cutting on this, we need to let people know that there's one lane opening.
Oh, let's, how come I haven't turned you
sorry.
on there?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've learned that there's one lane open each way on Highway 34 now.
Okay, this just in to the KGAL Valley Talk studios. Let's talk about this Highway 34 truck accident. You just heard Mark Workover and talk about it a little bit. We've got some more information.
Yeah.
What do you know?
I drove up on it. I was like 10th in line, and all I saw was heavy black smoke. And there was nobody going anywhere, so I called up the station and told you guys that it was closed, and I just called the state police, and they said there's one lane open in each way. Now, John saw the log truck, I guess, that he rear-ended some other vehicle.
You saw the accident occur?
No, I did not see it occur. I got there shortly after it had happened. Traffic was backed up considerably at the time. The truck was still on fire. The fire department was there putting the fire out. He'd apparently rear-ended the back of another truck on the highway, and what I observed was just the end of the fire. Basically, they were just putting it out, still steam and smoke coming up. Traffic was backed up considerably, and especially going eastbound.
So if you're going Highway 34, there should be one lane open?
Each way.
Each way.
So be prepared. You may have some delays. Hopefully no one was injured, but it did look like there may have been some injuries. It looked like a pretty serious accident.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not. I mean, at the very least, the poor guy's probably unemployed now, so.
They did not have an ambulance there.
Oh.
Okay.
Is that a bad sign?
Not when I came through.
Okay.
All right, so hopefully nobody was killed, and we'll just keep a good prayer for those folks involved and see what happens. But thanks for the update. So let's talk about John Gabrielson. Welcome to Valley Talk. So John, let's broad stroke overview your career a little bit. You were with the California Highway Patrol, and what did you do for Governor Reagan of California?
I worked for his security group that took care of his security, and at that time, and traveled some with him on different occasions, and took care of his security. We become relatively close friends during that period of time. He was probably the greatest president I've ever known, and so very honest. And as he told me personally, I asked him why would he get back into politics after acting. He says, well, I wanted to make a difference. And he was a great president, did a lot for the people of California at that time. I was originally raised here in Oregon, and I went down there. I was in the National Guard, and then decided to volunteer for the draft when the Korean War was on. And then I went to Korea, came back after my stint was over there, and was with the 505th Military Police out of the Presidio of San Francisco. And during that period of time, I worked in many different details. One happened to be the nuclear blasts out of Yucca Flats, out of Las Vegas. And I've had to attend three Senate hearings now on recognition for our services. We have a group that's formed that's known as the Atomic Veterans of Oregon. And these are people that were subjected to radiation, blasts, severe blasts. I was in Teapot, was one of them. And on the ground level and in the perimeter, and also did investigations. We were especially trained troops to make sure we had to sign a 50-year silence. I wasn't allowed for 50 years to say one word of what occurred and what I witnessed out there. But I witnessed things such as some of the troops were asked to walk to ground level after an explosion. Their soles started to melt on their shoes. It was so hot. Ground was so hot. We didn't think of radiation. Apparently, they were making studies at the time of what radiation would do. We have other veterans who was on the ships over on the islands when they did the blast there. I witnessed some. At the Senate hearings, they have testified that they could see the bones through their hands. They did not have shields for their eyes to cover their eyes. They were to cover them with their hands. They could see their bones through their hands. They could see the backbones and the rib cages of the subjects that were in front of them. And then after that, the water was contaminated, and they had to wash the ships down. They washed it down with the contaminated water, things of that nature, and unbelievable. Wow.
So you actually saw some of these blasts?
I was in a trench. I had some of my troops were with me at the time, and I pulled an eye shade out to make sure everybody had their eyes covered, and the blast went off, and I got a burned eye, and I today have some eye problems from it. I got a burn in my retina. I now have macular degeneration that cannot be associated with exactly that incident itself, but I eventually will be blind from that.
In the one eye?
In both eyes.
Both eyes. When this occurred, was there a fear of radiation, or did you even really know what radiation was about?
Didn't know what radiation was about.
Everybody was still basically experimenting.
They were experimenting, doing testing.
Now, are you, in what you're testifying for, are you trying to get recognition of that and treatment for these veterans, or what is your purpose of testifying?
Originally, when we testified up there at the Senate hearings, we wanted a day set aside as Atomic Veterans Day, which they which was passed overwhelmingly by the House and also the Senate. And it's June 26th is our day.
Good.
So the day's been set aside.
Deserve a week.
The day has been set aside.
That day is set aside as Atomic Veterans Day.
So you were in the trench, and the blast went off. You mentioned you pulled the eye shade, and what did it look like? Was it just it was a blinding white light, is what we've always been told. What were your experiences? What did your body feel like? What was it like to be in the blast zone?
I was young enough to find it a little exciting to feel a blast. And we had dust, dirt, so on and so forth. And I later on said, well, why is it that they have a notification of when this is going to occur, these blasts were going to occur, so the people in Las Vegas could step out in the veranda or wherever they were to watch these blasts. However, they were so far away that all they got was this bright flash in the sky. And I might add that the huge plumes of this nuclear waste blew into the air many, several couple 4,000 feet up or more. And of course, they never would blast them unless the wind was coming out of the west, blowing east. Then they, this is after I started to investigate some of the things and reasons, or what occurred with this blast, the huge plumes of dirt and dust that were blown from this. They always headed east.
Why was that? Away from the city?
Away from the least populated area. And we have a city, a small city east of that, which is in the eastern, over towards New Mexico and in that area. And they have a situation, and it's a matter of record too, that it went into St. George, Utah, went over St. George, Utah, and they didn't know for almost a year that some of the sheep were dying, the cattle were dying, so on and so forth. And that radiation came down upon those people over there. And this was a top secret situation, and the government had to cover that.
So as a soldier witnessing the blast, were you given a choice as to whether or not to witness the blast, or were you just ordered to do it?
No, I was asked if I wished to do it, if we wished to get in slit trenches down near the blast zone.
Why did they want you there?
Well, they wanted us to witness it, and whether they wished to test us later or whatever they had in their mind, I do not know to this day, and I wouldn't do it again because I didn't know. And we were relatively young men in those days.
Does it bother you that they didn't know either, and yet they went ahead and did it?
It certainly does bother me a great deal.
What kind of health issues do you have, do you believe?
Well, there's been numerous health issues, and the Veterans Administration has taken care of a number of these individuals, and some are dead today because of it, have died with, and they have agreed that there's a number of causes for this. I can't recall all of them, but there's quite a number of them that they've agreed that this is a result of this the blast that we witnessed and the radiation that we suffered. I've had skin cancers from it and things like that I've had to have removed.
Now, you mentioned that if you were given the choice to do this again, obviously you wouldn't want to do it. Are you angry at the government?
As a matter of fact, yes, I am. I'm upset about it for several reasons. One is losing friends of mine to diseases and problems that have occurred, and there's a fair number of them that the government's agreed to, that yes, this was part of it. They agreed that my eye was burned. They agreed to that. I've never asked for one penny from them. Mm-hmm. A number of them have got a percentage of compensation for this and will receive it the rest of their lives. The major thing was deafness on the part of the Anahuac blasts that were done in the islands over there. And I've heard all the witnesses from the Navy who were on those ships and the things that they went through over there. And they are suffering a lot of the same radiation problems that we suffered.
What is the message that atomic war veterans like yourself want to get to the general public? Of course, help you with paying medical expenses, but what if the message you can get out there is saying, hey, this is what we did, here's what we want you to know?
We're asking the Senate, and in the last hearing that I attended a couple of 3 weeks ago, or I believe it was, that sat down in front of the Senate hearing, we asked them to put a memorial for the atomic veterans at the Veterans Center. And that's what we wish to have done at this time. And we've, as I said before, we do have a date set as Atomic Veterans Day. And that was passed by the legislature and Senate both unanimously.
Well, thank you for the service to your country. We do need to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking to John Gabrielsen throughout this entire program. We're going to be talking about his remembrances of Ronald Reagan as a person, some of what he did under the employ of the Reagan administration. You can't talk about, but so if you can't talk about it, just say so. But we're going to be talking about that a little bit. Maybe some remembrances of CHP, California Highway Patrol,
and the handicap parking program.
Handicap parking program.
I started that here in the state for the state police.
And we'll be talking about that more. They just should do a movie about your life. Have you ever thought about that?
Well, it is my favorite drop on my Meals on Wheels route. I mean, I turn there's only two places where I turn the car off, and his is one. I mean, and he has a beautiful setting. I mean, he's right on the river. It's just wonderful. So I could spend a half an hour there.
Well, we're going to spend an hour today talking to John, and we'll be doing that here in just a moment at Valley Talk, and we will continue in just a moment.
The Mennonite Village In-Home Care Program has another happy client. Here's John.
My name is John DeLocke. I live in Corvallis with my wife, and we just celebrate our 48th wedding anniversary. Her name is Alice. In winter of 2009, she had to have radiation done to her brain, and that has left her immobile, which is the reason I have needed in-home care from the Mennonite group. I have them come for 5.5 days per week. The aides help Alice with her shower. They prepare lunch, and if I am gone at all in the evening, which isn't very often, but I am gone, they prepare dinner and eat with her. I have been very, very pleased with the professionalism, care, and the concern, and the relationships with both the Mennonite In-Home organization, but most importantly with Alice's aides. They do genuinely care for her.
Contact Sue Curry for more information at 541-928-2136 or visit MennoniteVillage.org.
The event to help you live well and age well. Returning to the Lynn County Fair and Expo Center, May 18th from 9 to 3. Great music, fun demonstrations, healthy screenings with experts to guide you along, and fun for the entire family. Free admission and lots of prizes. 50 and older, looking forward to a healthy future? You'll find the answers and resources to help you thrive at the Live Well and Age Well Expo, Saturday, May 18th. Lynn County Fair and Expo Center, presented by the Senior Services Foundation and Samaritan Health. For more information, go to agingwellexpo.org.
I'd like you to pause just for a moment and consider the health of your best friends. You see, Paws Animal Hospital is now open in Lebanon. Dr. Johnson and her staff love animals, and you'll feel that love from the first time you meet them. Paws Animal Hospital uses the latest technology. From in-house blood screening to digital radiography, you'll have confidence in the treatment of your pet. To call for an appointment or to learn more, call 541-570-1022. 570-1022 for Paws Animal Hospital.
Summer's almost here. Do you have a plan for your child? This summer, adventures abound with the Boys and Girls Club of the Greater San Diego. Trips to Newport, Splash, Foster Lake, OMSI, and more. Plus athletic camps for soccer, volleyball, and basketball. Tons of fun and a professionally supervised, safe, and engaging atmosphere is available for your 1st through 8th grader. Any day of the week, we're here to serve. Call 541-258-7105. To learn more, visit us at bgcgreatersantiam.org.
Lebanon Garden Club invites you to their next meeting on Monday, May 20th. Our program speaker will be Rich Little, retired entomologist and local master gardener. Rich will be answering your questions on bugs in the garden, good bug or bad bug. This meeting will be held at the home of member Peggy Christopherson, 194 South 2nd in Lebanon. Refreshments will be served. Our meetings are always open to the public, so please come visit us. For more information, call Trudy Basin at 541-258-7693 or check out Lebanon Garden Club on Facebook.
Less hype, just quality news, sports, and smart talk. From your friends at 1580 KGAL.
Very interesting show today. Here on Valley Talk, we're talking to John Gabrielsen, who was with California Highway Patrol, the Reagan administration, also atomic war veteran. We spent a lot of time talking about his experience, personal experience, witnessing the atomic blasts. Now we're going to change gears here and talk about his years with the Reagan administration. And my understanding is that you worked for the Reagan administration while he was president of the United States.
That's correct.
Correct? What was Ronald Reagan like as a man?
He was the greatest leader that I've ever worked for in my life.
Was it charisma? Was it knowledge? What was it?
He was a straight up man. He came right out and told me, he says, there's no difference between a politician and a prostitute.
Amen. I was too damn dumb at that time. I'd come out of Oregon State and I drank the Kool-Aid and I voted for Carter and all that kind of stuff. And now in retrospect, I look at what an idiot I was and how honored we were and how we need a Reagan today. What was it like to be in the White House?
It was quite an honor. There was a half a dozen of us who were called back there, who he had known while I was with his administration, and we were honored to follow any directives that he gave us.
A lot of people right now are saying that Ronald Reagan had tremendous wisdom, and they were wishing that Ronald Reagan was back in the White House. Was he an extremely intelligent man?
Ronald Reagan was the most honest politician I've ever known. He would say it like it was. And there's many of his quotes today that are published. The one came from, I believe, my conversation with him. But if you follow some of his quotes, which I don't have present with me, they're all honest. They're all straightforward. They're things that anybody can understand.
Was he wise? Did he seem to have some insight into government, politics, people? There's a lot of people that really give Ronald Reagan accolades for having wisdom, and they're wishing that kind of wisdom was available for leaders today. Was he a very insightful, wise man?
He was extremely, and a good family man, wonderful family man, and totally honorable, and worked for the people and with the people. And
do you think we need another Ronald Reagan today?
I wish we had a Ronald Reagan today.
What did you do for the Reagan administration? Now, did you go to Noriega? What?
No, this was done. The work I did was in South America. He wanted some things cleaned up in South America, and we went through the governments down there, and were able to accomplish a great deal, which would be impossible to do today.
And these were countries that would not extradite the people back to us.
That's correct.
When you say cleaned up, do you mean bring prisoners back? Can you talk about it?
Well, we had major criminals in South America in non-extradition countries and that sort of thing. There were ways to lure them out of there for into another country where we could
arrest them.
Okay, moving on. Let's move on now. We're getting in even trouble now.
Okay.
We can't.
But no, the one thing that I did ask him about South America, I have this picture of South America being humid and hot and bugs, and I asked him, and he goes, "Yep." That's true. So I guess it was unpleasant working conditions also.
But you really enjoyed working for Ronald. How long did you work for Ronald Reagan?
Approximately 2 years.
Was it mainly a security?
I worked for him in security when he was governor, and that's how I got appointed. That's when I got to personally know him and know that how he felt about several of us who worked for him in security, and he admired us very much.
So working as a security in the security detail for then Governor Reagan, and then you did some projects for him as president. So you get to know the man. You're closer to him than a lot of other people are because you're in charge of his safety. Anything about Ronald Reagan as you really know him personally that that we would be surprised about knowing that you want to share?
There was a humorous things.
Mm-hmm. Had a tremendous sense of humor.
He had just an absolute honest, progressive type of attitude. He gave this country some honor, and gave us a great deal of foresight and honest to goodness, down to earth, man to man type of
the one Reagan quote that always sticks with me is at the wall. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
That's correct.
And it was prophetic. And
yes.
But Ronald Reagan always seemed to be a man that said it like it was.
He said it just exactly like it was. There was no BS with that guy.
You know, now we during the one black mark for Ronald Reagan, and I don't really know what it all entailed, but there was this Iran-Contra controversy. Now we have the Benghazi situation in Libya. Being that close to the administration and all that, you must have felt the pressure of the press, the newspapers, and the TV channels. Do you think that the coverage today for Benghazi is going to be the same as what it was for Reagan, or do you think it's going to be do you get the feeling that the press is going to kind of go easy on President Obama?
They're going to go easy on President Obama.
Yeah.
Do you think that's just a bent that the press has right now, that they're treating him with kid gloves?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and you know, Oliver North, I mean, I just remember the scathing attacks on him, and I was a Democrat at the time and a moron, but you know, I just see such a difference. I mean, if this was George Bush or any Republican, the press would just be going crazy, and you can hardly get a news channel to cover it.
Now, I think a lot of people in the America today about the Benghazi affair. You know, our American ambassador died. They were calling for help. We didn't send it. You know, working with President Reagan and operations overseas, working with security detail, I think a lot of Americans, or at least I don't want to speak for everyone, but there's a lot of people that want to know why. And the fact that we had an American ambassador over there who was killed, was calling for help, and the troops that were standing by were told to stand down.
How would you feel about that?
That was my question. Now, you've been overseas and been working for presidents. When you heard this story, what's your emotional response? What's your response?
What the hell's the matter with us? Why wasn't something done? I'm angry about it. I don't particularly care to discuss it a lot because I am angry about it and very upset with the administration for not getting off their butts and doing something about it.
Okay. Hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Now, a lot of the listeners out there are going to go, oh, this is a friend of John Gibson, so he's this real conservative guy. Can we talk Let's take a break, and then we'll come back.
Okay. We'll take a break with John Gabrielson. We're here on Valley Talk and reminiscing about some of the Ronald Reagan years and other interesting things that John Gabrielson has done in his life. This is Valley Talk, and we will be right back.
The Osgood File, sponsored by Cassidy Turley. Discover clarity in commercial real estate services. Discover the value of market intelligence. Discover Cassidy Turley. This is Dave Ross, and for Charles Osgood. Hospitals around the country are busy getting ready for the 30 million Americans who will be insured for the first time under health care reform, and who could potentially have a lifetime of medical issues that need fixing. And that could bring the country up to the edge of its latest cliff.
You've heard of the fiscal cliff. I think we're on the edge of a healthcare cliff.
More after this from Charlie.
Let's say you run a small business. Expenses can really add up if you don't keep on top of them. And even when you do keep on top of them, you still have to run your business smoothly. Well, I know a great way to do all of that, and I've used it in my office for years now. Stamps.com. Get official U.S. postage for any letter or package using your own computer and printer. Say goodbye to those expensive postage meters. Stamps.com does more than those meters at a fraction of the cost. Up to 80% in savings with no hidden fees or long-term commitments. And skip that trip to the post office. In fact, Stamps.com will give you great discounts that you can't even get at the post office. So get started right now. Stamps.com has a special offer for you since you listen to the Osgood File. It's a no-risk trial with a $110 bonus that includes a digital scale and up to $55 in free postage. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the home page, and type in my last name, Osgood, O-S-G-O-O-D. That's Stamps.com, and enter Osgood.
It turns out that just as healthcare reform is about to kick in, an entire generation of doctors is about to check out. 1/3 of all the doctors in the U.S. plan to hang it up in the next 10 years.
That's almost 250,000 physicians that will leave the workforce.
Dr. Bruce Keppen is the founding dean of the new medical school at Quinnipiac University. He takes over at a time when retirements are expected to lead to a shortage of about 130,000 doctors by the year 2025 in this country. And since the worst shortage is expected to be in primary care, the doctors who most people go to first when they're sick, that's what Quinnipiac's medical school intends to focus on. For student Eva Amenta, it's a dream come true.
I can't really remember a time that I didn't want to be a physician and I wasn't pursuing medicine.
And to draw people away from the specialties and into primary care, which doesn't tend to pay as much, Quinnipiac is offering fellowships to students like Timothy O'Rourke, who says he's more than happy to work where the greatest need is.
We need to take into consideration the country as a whole and the huge gap that there will be in primary care specifically.
Fortunately, for aging baby boomers, whose need for medical care can only increase, a lot of medical students feel the same way. Quinnipiac received 2,000 applications for its first class. Unfortunately, it has exactly 60 slots. The Osgood File. Dave Ross on the CBS Radio Network.
When you look out across the Willamette Valley, you'll see plenty of banking choices. Willamette Community Bank is here to give you an option that's pretty unique, like no other, in fact. Hi, this is Sue Kalina, Relationship Manager. Willamette Community Bank provides an alternative to large national and regional banks by offering customized financial services and local decision-making to benefit local people, local families, and local businesses. How many banks can say that?
Willamette Community Bank, service like no other. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Coming out of it. Never wear a fanny pack. No, really, don't ever wear a fanny pack. And never trust a car that hasn't been trusted to Midas. Save on brakes, tires, maintenance, and total car care. For a car you can depend on long after the warranty expires. You deserve the Midas touch. Get a comprehensive oil change, tire rotation, and visual brake check for $19.99. Up to 5 quarts conventional oil. Shop fees extra. Most vehicles at participating Midas.
Now you can dial a diamond and save half by calling Empire Diamond at 1-800-SAVE-HALF. Over 70 years in the Empire State Building, they'll sell diamonds wholesale without a middleman's markup. That's right, GIA-graded diamonds at half the price of famous high-end jewelers. Qualified buyers may have diamonds into their home or office for a free 10-day no-obligation inspection and get a 60-day money-back guarantee. So save half on your diamonds. Visit at dialadiamond.com or call 1-800-SAVE-HALF. That's 1-800-SAVE-HALF.
The Car Show, Saturday afternoons on News Talk 1580, KGAL.
This is Valley Talk. I'm Dave Adams, 11:45 the time. Glad you're with us today. John Gibson, average investment guy, with us. But we're having a kind of a special show today. We have a special guest, John Gabrielsen. If you've been listening to us so far, we've covered his experience as an atomic war veteran, his years with the Reagan governor of California, and then the Reagan administration, doing some work there. And then also, we've most recently talked about just personal reaction response from the Benghazi affair, where we did not send in people to help, and our ambassador was murdered.
And three
overseas.
other people.
And three other people. And one of the things that, as we were talking off mic, we were talking about this incident, and my initial reaction as an American is we should have sent somebody in to help. And the question I posed off mic was, why didn't we send somebody in there? You know, why was it political? Why? And that's what everybody's trying to figure out right now. And John Gabrielsen, in typical probably character fashion for him, said what? What do you think?
I believe that the people that were running that were cowards, and I still will stand by that. That could have done something and could have made a decision to go in there and put a stop to that, and I believe they were cowards.
Just think if you'd have buzzed one F-16 over the embassy, those guys would have scattered like flies.
Yes.
Well, hopefully it doesn't happen again, but obviously there's going to be a time when it's put up or shut up, and hopefully we're there to protect our people. Yeah. I've been very active. I'm not a veteran myself, but I've been very active in veterans affairs as far as, helping with Honor Flight, One Last Mission, and outreach that I started called Operation Eagle's Wings, helping and tell the story of veterans. What would you say to veterans today that one of the things that we're noticing in veterans today have some very significant different issues than they've had in the past. We've got guys and gals going over there for multiple deployments. They really don't know when the end is in sight. Back in the day, for example, in Vietnam and World War II, possibly Korea too, you did your tour of duty, and if you survived your tour, basically, you got to go home. But now what's happening, because we're in so many areas and there's so few people to do it, they'll probably send you back. And there's some people that have been going back 5, 6, 7 more tours, and they're spending a decade. It's become a career for them. Devastating to families. One of the things I'm concerned about is we're seeing suicide rates off the charts. Yes. There are months that we're losing more soldiers to suicide than fire from the enemy. Yes. And something's wrong here. We need to fix that. So, that's kind of a button issue for me. What goes through your mind when I share that kind of information?
Death. I've seen a lot of death in my life, many deaths, and it's something you don't forget. It's something that when I was younger and was swore to lay down my life rather than swerve from the path of my sworn duty, I found that in my mind that we don't have the psychological
guts
to help and take care of these people. A lot of them feel abandoned. A lot of them feel alone. They're out there. I talk to them through the American Legion and places of that nature. We dumped a lot of the people that came out of Vietnam, for instance. Look at what happened in Vietnam. And they were spit on. They were abused. I worked down there at that time when I was with the California Highway Patrol to clean up Berkeley. We had Sproul Hall sit in, and we had troops go in there. Our troops went in there to clean that up And here was people lying in the Sproul Hall who would reach up and bite you, try to bite your legs, try to, and we had to clean that out, clean out that type of thing. We were going up in our V formation. I was a team leader. We're going up through the street, and somebody fired a .357 Magnum revolver behind me. And I wheeled around, drew my weapon, wheeled around, and saw a man falling off the second-story window, or second story of a building, splat on the cement, dead. What he was doing, what he had done, and we did not know, he was he'd taken reinforcement rods, sharpened the ends of these reinforcement rods, and was flinging them down at the California Highway Patrolman who was coming up the street.
Kind of like a spear.
To spear them, to skewer them. One went through one of the officers' shoulders. His partner turned up and shot the man right off the roof.
Good.
And
I'll pay for that bullet.
Wow.
And these are things that they have big investigations after that. Everybody's got to get their 2 bits worth in, or 10 cents worth in, as to why. And I've been spit on. I've had people spit on me, and we were called pigs. President Ronald Reagan says, yes, pigs. That stands for pride, integrity, and guts. And so that's one of the reasons I love Ronald Reagan.
Yeah. Changing on a different note, a happier note, I was walking through Fred Meyer's parking lot the other day, and I saw a bumper sticker. And it said, "Stupid isn't a handicap. Park somewhere else." Why don't you talk about the handicap parking program that you started?
Well, I started to work with the Paralyzed Veterans of America out of Portland, Oregon, and with the handicap parking program, because I thought it was something, and I would witness it time after time. These people parking in handicap zones that have nothing wrong with them, and I witnessed. We went down, and I testified also at the Senate and Assembly there, the House of Representatives, that we should have definitely a fine, a minimum fine, and the judge does not have the discretion to reduce these fines. And in one incident, we had a situation occur where a judge found this person indigent. Now, I will not mention names on this, but it happened to be someone who was an extremely influential people, driving a 500 Mercedes, and so on and so forth. Nothing wrong with this lady, but her husband was an extremely influential person, and the only way they could find them innocent was to find them indigent. They found her, multimillionaires found her indigent. That judge was not on the bench very long after that.
Good.
That was Oregon, California?
That was in Oregon. That was in Portland, Oregon.
Well, Portland, Oregon isn't really known for its logic and its common sense.
We need to take one more break here, and then we'll be back here on Valley Talk in just a moment.
Going out to lunch at a nice restaurant can be expensive, and the big portions put you more in the mood for a nap than a productive afternoon. Mama's Fine Italian to the rescue. The small appetite senior menu is just right. Anyone and everyone is invited to order from the Light Appetites menu for lunch from 11 to 4 p.m. with tasty entrees beginning at only $4.95. Why go hungry or go anywhere else for lunch? Eat healthy, eat light at Mama's. Closed Sunday and Monday, so make the most of Tuesday through Friday and join your friends at Mama's for lunch. Dinner only on Saturday. Mama's features charbroiled steaks every day. Make reservations for dinner or pick up a bottle of fine wine. Seating is limited, so please call for reservations. 541-451-5050. That's 451-5050. Mama's Fine Italian and Wine Shop on West Oak between Main and 2nd in Lebanon, across from the Big Blue Napa Auto Parts Building.
This is Rich Abers, Service Manager of Power Buick GMC, and I'm here to tell you that not only is Power Buick GMC the #1 local dealership to purchase a new or used vehicle, we are your General Motors service headquarters. Our GM-trained and ASE-certified technicians service Buick, Cadillac, Chevrolet, GMC, Hummer, Pontiac, Oldsmobile, and Saturn vehicles. In or out of warranty. Extended warranties, no problem. Cars not GM built, no problem.
Call Power today at 541-757-1415 on the corner of 5th and Buchanan in Corvallis.
The Corvallis OSU Symphony Orchestra performs the final concert of their 107th season, Tuesday night, May 21st, 7:30 at the LaSalle Stewart Center. There's no need to travel to hear the finest in classical music. For over a century, the Corvallis OSU Symphony has provided quality performances right here in the Valley. This year's final performance will feature Symphony No. 5 by Gustav Mahler. Considered to be one of the monuments of classical music, it was a declaration of love to the woman he would soon marry. Marlon Carlson will direct. Tickets are available in advance at Grace Winds Music and Grassroots Books and Music in Corvallis. Also available online at cosusymphony.org. If you haven't attended a performance this season, if you've never been, come enjoy the Corvallis OSU Symphony season finale, Tuesday night, May 21st, 7:30 at the LaSalle Stewart Center on the OSU campus.
It's the Saddle Butte Machine Gun Shoot, Saturday and Sunday, May 18th and 19th from 9 to 4 at the Albany Rifle and Pistol Club and Shed. Come on out and shoot machine guns, all calibers and sizes from 22 to 50. Mounted, shouldered, belt-fed, you name it. Pick the gun you want to shoot, buy the ammo, and blast away at water bottles, balloons, and cars. Admission is $10. Children under 12 and ARPC members get in free. Any questions? Call 541-491-3755. See you there.
Into the woods and onto the waters. Listen to Northwestern Outdoors, Saturday nights on Smart Talk 1580.
Hey, we have just a few minutes left here on Valley Talk, talking to John Gabrielson. Thank you for being with us on Valley Talk today. So if there was a message that you would like to get out to the people that are listening from all your experiences, what would it be?
I would say that the greatest thing you can do is give more honor to the veterans. And it's become much better at this point in time than it was during the Vietnam era. The Vietnam era, they were treated, were spit on, were cussed at, were sworn at, and many of their friends laid down their lives to try to help the people of this country. And I found that one of the most disgusting times of my life, to have to put up and listen to some of these people and what they did to those veterans. Today, the veterans coming back are honored a little bit better than they were then, much better than they were at that point in time. But that was the down part in my life, was to see that. I've suffered a lot, and I've got, as I've gotten older now, I'll be 80 years old on September the 3rd. And this has been very hard for me because I suffer from severe PTSD.
Locally owned and operated, this is the very independent News Talk 1580 KGAL, Lebanon, Albany, Corvallis.